X-Men! It's Marvel! No! Hi, I'm Zach.
I'm Laura.
And we are here to review The Suicide Squad, or how do they market it? James Gunn's Twisted Mind. That created The Suicide Squad. So, those of you who know, me and Laura really enjoy DC stuff. Did we enjoy this? Well, you'll see after the trailer.
You gotta be kidding me. You're gonna risk the entire mission for a mental defective dressed as a court jester.
This coming from a guy that wears a toilet seat on his head.
We don't leave one of our own behind.
Hopefully Harley's still alive.
No funny business, Colonel. These are dangerous people.
Team 2 is clear to go.
Fire on 3, 2.
What are you guys doing?
What?
We're here to save you.
You were gonna save me?
It was a really good plan, too.
Well, I can go back inside and you can still do it.
That's patronizing.
I'm so sorry. Harley Quinn.
Blood sport.
You know the deal. Successfully complete the mission, you get 10 years off your sentence. Times are hard. You fail to follow my orders in any way, and I detonate the explosive device in the base of your skull.
So this is the famous Suicide Squad.
Num num.
Any questions?
And
Yes, that is your hand. Very good.
we're all gonna die.
I hope so.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Here's the deal. We fail the mission, you die.
If we find out any information you give us is false, you die.
If we find out you have personalized license plates, you die.
What? No.
If you cough without covering your mouth.
Harley, although that isn't an open invitation for you to cough without covering your mouth.
What's the plan?
How the hell am I supposed to know?
You're the leader. You're supposed to be decisive.
And I've decided that you should eat a big bag of dicks.
If this whole beach was completely covered in dicks, and somebody said I'd eat every dick until the beach was clean for liberty, I would say no problemo.
Why would someone put penises all over the beach?
Who knows why madmen do what they do?
This is suicide.
Well, that's kind of our thing.
Don't you worry, eh? I'm gonna get you out of here alive.
I'm going to get you out of here alive.
Oh my God! We've got a freaking kaiju up in this shit.
Uh-huh.
We love the rain. It's like angels are splooching all over us.
Synopsis, please.
Synopsis.
Synopsis, please.
The government sends the most dangerous supervillains in the world, Bloodsport, Peacemaker, King Shark, Harley Quinn and others, to the remote enemy-infused island of Corto Maltese. Armed with high-tech weapons, they trek through the dangerous jungle on a search and destroy mission with only... What the hell is that? COL?
Colonel Rick Flag.
Oh, Colonel Rick Flag on the ground to make them behave.
It's not very accurate. So, anticipation leading up. Were you interested in this?
Not really, no.
No.
Not really, no.
No. Why?
Because it looked like shit. The advert made it look like shit. It was not wrong.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's shit. I think it doesn't improve where apparently Suicide Squad, 2016 Suicide Squad failed. It's foul-mouthed. It's got gory spills and bloody thrills, or it's foul-mouthed. The last one was a 15. This film's basically like, this is pure hard R. So this 15 rating is warranted. But does swear words and gore elevate something that just a lot of people are of the opinion just doesn't seem to work.
I didn't really feel like I was watching a superhero movie.
Which is kind of good, because you don't like superhero films.
Yeah, but it went down the wrong road.
Where did it go wrong?
It was first of all, it was too long. Second,
It was, wasn't it? It felt like it was going on forever.
It was an eternity.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
Sure of it.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting
And
there
it's
like,
only based in like 2 locations, hilariously enough.
I mean, considering the information you provided me before we went to watch it, which was that it's going to be more about Harley Quinn, and in her world, there wasn't enough of Harley Quinn for me.
Nothing at all. Harley Quinn shouldn't be in this film. She shouldn't. No. She is... Not enough time is proportioned or weighed out properly. Coming from Birds of Prey, we know what she can offer as a character, as an actress. And it felt like she was on a short leash in this film because James Gunn. Now, James Gunn is similar to Joss Whedon. He believes his press, and he believes that he is pop culturally, you know, at the centre, the focal point of what everyone's talking about. You can tell that James Gunn has a huge ego, and you can tell that he's come into this and he's gone, I'm going to do the Suicide Squad right. And he kind of also does the movie beat by beat like the last movie, but the setup of it is horrible because he's mocking the tone of the last film.
Yeah.
And anyone who knows the last film, it was interfered with by Warner Brothers. Ain't a surprise, they're notorious for doing it. This is a course correction. And they also jumped at the opportunity to get James Gunn because he was fired from Disney.
Oh no.
Because of supposed awful attitudes on Twitter. He told a joke about a rapist and a baby. Now, if you know James Gunn, the person, the individual and filmmaker who did Sliver, Super, he is dark and he is willing to go to places, brutalist, the social satire, the humour. Ever since he's joined Marvel, and ever since this whole conundrum of sacking him because the far right unearthed things and went, look, you're really weird and horrible, he's apologised for his personality in those tweets. Okay, get over it. But in a way, he's apologised for the filmmaker he was. Because this movie isn't harder, grittier, more, on edge than the last Suicide Squad. This is just lame dick jokes.
If this whole beach was completely covered in dicks, and somebody said I'd eat every dick until the beach was clean for liberty, I would say no problemo.
What?
Some of the jokes land. It is so fucking entertaining in places. But with the inclusion of James Gunn, he's on that teetering edge of not being the filmmaker we know he is. And I know for how many years he's been spent, cut off from the world of R-rated movies, of which he established himself in like really low budget horror schlock stuff by Troma and all such and sundry. We know he's had his hand in like big budget movies like the Scooby-Doo films, but since joining Marvel, he's kind of distanced himself from his identity as a filmmaker, and he likes to think he's something. Obviously, the way they've marketed this from the horrible, depraved mind of James Gunn, ain't that depraved? Also, the film's fairly weak plot-wise. There's less plot here than there is with the original Suicide Squad. Also, there's not much connectability with these characters, and that comes from poor performances. Idris Elba is on and off in this movie. He's turned up and gone, right, give me the paycheck, I'm here. What works is when he's playing off other actors of a calibre like John Cena, who steals this fucking film.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
He is funny. He is also intimidating. Whereas everything that they should have done with him in Fast 9, the confrontations, the fights, they do in this. Yeah. So, agreed. John Cena has gone up in my estimation, again, from that terrible ordeal that we went through. But the movie, it stutters and stumbles. It's long, and it fails from everything that is the problem with the film. Problem with this is these people are meant to be supervillains, but you don't treat them as supervillains. You treat them as anti-heroes. The one thing that James Gunn did well was he actually killed off a lot of the Suicide Squad. It's in the name, whereas the last film didn't do that. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I kind of felt this film lacked Will Smith. This was the replacement Will Smith, wasn't it? Let's get another black actor in who's playing a similar guy, similar background. It's basically rebooting the franchise with a different actor. But Will Smith actually gave something, charm, charisma, and a performance, whereas Idris Elba just turned up and did his all Cockney stuff.
You should eat a big bag of dicks.
When he's not playing off someone else, he's just the geezer that's from Luther on BBC One. That's it. Margot Robbie is obviously gone there and done her work, but you can tell from the offset, I'm James Gunn, you're going to be my Harley Quinn. It's like, whoa, hold the phone. She's already had her own solo movie, so take that fucking attitude and fuck off. It's like he didn't want her to come to life. Like, there were some visual elements that were great when we were inside Harley's mind, and instead of blood spurts, there's flowers. But the most fun character is Polka Dot Man, John Cena's Peacemaker. But other than that, an assemblage of characters with not a storyline. At least Suicide Squad 2016 had a storyline.
It did. It absolutely did.
It had emotion and connectivity. The movie is entertaining as fuck, but it lags. It's almost like they're lounging, and they want to throw as much swear words out there as possible to make them hip and edgy, but it doesn't work.
It really doesn't.
It loses its appeal after the fifth fuck. It's not to the extremities of The Hitman's Bodyguard's Wife or Hitman's Bodyguard's Wife, which just use swear words in...
It was every 3 seconds.
They used it instead of a script. You know,
Yeah.
every word was replaced by fuck, motherfucker, or something called such and something.
Motherfucker!
It's a difficult thing. David Ayer didn't get to envision his overall piece. It was meant to be darker, grittier, and proof and evidence is in the pudding of the original Comic-Con trailer, and then they came in and spruced it up. Now it's almost like we're going to take ownership of that messiness, but it caters to the same issues and doesn't improve where a lot of people criticised from before. It doesn't improve on anything. No. This film shouldn't exist. It doesn't... Whatever your problem is with Suicide Squad, this will not dissuade you from your opinion. You're going to like that film or you're not. And anyone who's going to make comparisons, there is so many beat for beat moments that I'm kind of like, did James Gunn actually see that film?
Yeah.
Like, did he actually see that film? Because sometimes it's so beat for beat, and sometimes it feels like he's being so disingenuous about the whole fucking thing. Also, the whole faux sincerity in place of character development, it's so sincere and, like Laura said, flowery. It offsets everything. We shouldn't really want to fall in love with these characters, but we do. But in a way, you want to reinforce character engagement and their pasts and, you know, their backdrops, but there's something off about it. It's faux sincere. And also the satire and everything that's been said to be a social commentary for this film, it's watermarked. It's there when it's talking about the Maltese and, you know, the corruption and the politics. But it's not veiled, it's not clever. Satire works when, you know, it's really obvious, but it's ground into the DNA. This feels like he's like, oh, I'm going to put that there in replacement for a potential story to make it more concurrent and edgier because it's related to... No, we go to the cinema to get away from stuff, and if you want to convey stuff like that, do it a little bit more cleverly. You know, like he achieved with Super. He subverted the whole superhero genre with that and transgressive cinema. He's a different filmmaker than the person who made Super in 2010. He's come in with a huge ego, a huge budget that looks reasonably shit. I mean, King Shark looks awful. Awful. Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Go on.
Yeah, I think for me it was one of those things that I saw the trailer, I didn't like the trailer at all really, and I still somehow managed to get in the cinema to watch it. I'm not sure how that worked.
All the positive reviews kind of had us going, and then they're talking positively about Harley Quinn. It go, oh, okay.
Yeah, I shouldn't have listened. Yeah. I shouldn't, because this is what happens. I watch a trailer, and then I think, nah, that's no good for me. And then Zach will be like, well, this person's reviewed it, and that person's reviewed it, and I'm like, oh, okay. Sounds like, you know, people are kind of showing what the trailer doesn't and then I go and watch the film, and it's about as rubbish as the trailer was.
Do you really think it was that bad?
Yeah.
I thought it was entertaining. I mean, everything related to Polka Dot Man and Peacemaker and Weasel and sometimes Harley Quinn, I'm there. I'm totally there. Some of the action's really impressive, but it's nothing that we haven't seen before. And Amanda Waller, the character who sets them out on this, it's a glorified cameo. That actress just appears for 3 minutes, whereas she was so central to the whole operation in the last film. It's a reboot, remake, sequel that, you know, thinks it's outsmarting the first one and doing something better, whereas it's actually catering to what was inherently was the problem. That even people who like Suicide Squad knew what the issue was. They actually handle it worse in this film.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, there were humorous moments, but humour doesn't actually save a film for me. No. It doesn't. No. You know, yeah, I laughed, but just because I laughed doesn't make the film amazing. It did not save the film at all for me.
No.
I think, to be honest, the best bits were the Polka Dot Man's mum, and kind of seeing her as every character through his eyes, which I thought was probably the most funniest.
Taunt him.
They're probably the funniest bits, but that doesn't, you know, I don't feel that the action was particularly entertaining. I felt no stakes whatsoever. At no point did I go, "Oh, are they going to get out?
And you
How
don't
are they going to
spend
get
enough
out?"
time with those initial
No.
characters. And I know there's that big argument of, well, that's what they are, they're cannon fodder, but you need some familiarity with them.
Well, the thing is if you spend time with a character and they do start killing them off because it is the Suicide Squad, then you'd feel more anxiety for the people that asked for the characters that are still alive. But like, you know, when Harley Quinn's, sorry, spoiler alert guys, when Harley Quinn's hanging there being electrified, and at no point do I think, shit, I suppose she's going to come out of this, I suppose she's going to survive, and there was nothing. It was just like,
no.
Next.
Yeah. And the character that they did end up killing off, that is what hit me, because I thought they did better by him in this movie. I don't really want to give it away. Okay, look, spoiler warning. Colonel Flagg dies in the end. And he was reasonably good in the last one. He's not there just to be a dialogue espouser. He's not there to be purely exposition spouter, and not there to, you know, have a weird relationship with Cara Delevingne with her caterpillar eyes and her weird CGI dancing body. I liked his engagement with the other characters. I liked that he had a loyalty that you felt was a conveyance that something had happened before. Mm-hmm. Like maybe Suicide Squad did exist, but in a different vein. That he had a familiarity with her and a weird, deep-seated, weird mutual respect and love for her. What worked for me worked, and what didn't. But it's no better than Suicide Squad. That movie is messy, visually sometimes gorgeous, but also visually unappealing, all over the place, because of studio intervention, whereas this is just an incoherent, messy, prolonged loungeabout, almost lackluster, oh, look at me, I'm all these things that you want me to be, but I'm not actually anymore through the guise of James Gunn as a filmmaker and stylist. They're up there, side by side, and I lean more towards David Ayer's Suicide Squad. James Gunn has given us nothing that impressive except a big, huge starfish that destroys cities. And
the only thing I liked about the starfish was the fact that Harley Quinn and the rats were swimming through its eye.
Yeah, and
that I thought was brilliant, but...
Also, Peter Capaldi as the Thinker. Richard Ayoade said a joke not that long ago about him starring in The Watch with Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn, Jonah Hill, and it was his wife who said, "You look like you've won the lottery, you just stand out and you just look like you shouldn't be there." That's what Peter Capaldi looks like. He is way in over his head, he doesn't know what to do with the character, he obviously doesn't have any affirmation with the comic book character, didn't do anything interesting with him, and the thing is, it's all style over substance. Whereas Suicide Squad 2016 actually had substance. It did. No matter if you like Jared Leto's performance, there was substance between Joker and him. There was substance between Will Smith's character and his daughter. It's so disingenuous that it's like, we're going to better what came before. It's literally a fuck you, but also, what actually worked in that film I'm going to steal. Fuck you, James Gunn, because I have no faith in you as a filmmaker. But as a product, entertainment-wise, it's 3 stars from me. But in comparison to Suicide Squad 2016, you're not going to get anything but repartee and banter and a few extra swear words. One side note, casting Stallone as King Shark, because he's the way he talks. Hand.
Yes, that is your hand.
Num-nums. James Gunn does something very clever. He takes actors who aren't really that good at acting, Vin Diesel, and he gives them gives them voice roles. Vin Diesel gets paid so much just for saying, I am Groot, about 100 times. Okay, that's cool, that's okay, because, you know, he's a name. He's not there because he's talented. What's funny is you get Stallone because he sounds dim-witted, like he's had a stroke, but he actually plays it. He plays that caricature. He's not doing his actual voice like Vin Diesel does. He's actually playing that caricature that we all... And that's what I love about Stallone. He knows he sounds dim. He knows he sounds like he's had a stroke. And he's like, you know what? Give me that character. I'm going to play into it even more. He also kind of gave weight to the shoddy visual effects. Also, the rat catcher gal I couldn't get behind. She just wasn't that good an actress. And her,
I didn't care about her. I liked the rats.
her co-star, which, you know, focus was on the CGI rat rather than King Shark, because that rat should get, like, an Oscar for its CGI performance. But other than that, it is what it is. How many ratings would you give it, stars?
How many ratings?
How many stars?
2.
2. 3 from me, 2 from Laura. I mean, it's entertaining, but so Suicide Squad. And
I'd far rather watch Suicide Squad 3 times over than watch that again.
You really like Suicide Squad.
Exactly.
So, would you like to see a sequel? No. I would like to see more Harley Quinn in her own movies. Everything this movie claims to be, Birds of Prey is totally in a package, but you know what's going to happen. Everyone's going to go to this and spend all the money seeing this. Whereas you can just go to Birds of Prey, which people didn't turn out for, which fucks me off. Everything that you wanted from a Harley Quinn movie and a Suicide Squad movie, you get it in a perfect package with Birds of Prey. I just don't like the way DC is handling things, and from inside information, even people very heavily associated with them as writers, as creatives, whether of graphic novels or in the development department, they're not doing right. Day by day, they are basically shriveling up these IPs and properties, and they are fucking about, and people who are so close to them and earn a dime off them are going, I've had enough. And it's just obvious in the continuity of what was established with the Snyderverse, and I feel that Snyder, looking back, is probably only here as executive producer because they're like, yeah, we really owe Zack a lot after what we put him through. Because at the end I'm like, yeah, Zack Snyder's involved. But then I remember Zack Snyder going, I've not had a conversation with Warner Brothers since 2016. And even with the release of Zack Snyder's Justice League, he says, I've not heard from anyone from Warner Brothers. He says, it's all HBO, they're a separate entity. So Warner Brothers, eat your cake, and realise that you are looking a gift horse in the mouth. But anyway, that's it from me.
That's it from me.
And if you want more,
Like,
share.
and subscribe.
Now this needs to be edited in this heat.
Have a wonderful time.